Are we living in the Matrix? Is the universe just one big simulation? What if everything we thought we knew was nothing more than virtual reality? Ponder the answers to these questions and more with my next guests. Terrence Holleran, aka Slob Dylan,
Hey,
and David Luther, aka Super Dpressd.
Hi.
Hey, so thanks again for joining me on the stream, guys.
thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me.
But you know what? Before I ask you questions about yourselves, can you give me a yes or no answer? Um, are we living in the Matrix or not? Starting with Terrence.
Um,
Just yes or no.
it's a little bit of both. Um, can I expand on that a little bit?
No, wait until later. Just want to get your, just ease into
Um,
it.
I'll say yes, but with like a big asterisk after that.
Gotcha. We'll hear more about the asterisk a little later. But okay, cool. So what about you, Dave?
So I'm gonna say no with a big asterisk.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
I like it. All right,
Yeah.
so we'll have two opposing viewpoints, but maybe they're not actually that different.
Yeah. Ontological death match.
All right. All right. So back to you, Terrence. So can you tell me where you're from, where you are now, and who you are as an artist?
So I'm from New Jersey, and I'm currently still in New Jersey. I don't know if I'll ever leave, but yeah, I'm stuck. Uh, so I've been like playing music most of my life, in and out of bands and stuff, but always had like a inkling towards art, drawing and shit. Uh, Started doing video stuff in New Brunswick actually, but before I knew about like hardware based video synths and like glitch boxes, I would just kind of like find weird videos on YouTube and play them at like a quarter speed for bands. And I didn't want something that was software based because it felt less tactile to me. And then I discovered hardware based video synthesis, and that totally went down like a rabbit hole and changed my life. So yeah, here I am.
Awesome. I'll ask the same question to David. So where are you from? Where are you now? And who are you as an artist and
Um.
musician?
So my my answers are gonna be a lot like Terrence's. Basically a rehash, but I'll change the words so it's not plagiarism. I'm from New Brunswick, New Jersey. I'm still in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I've not been able to escape the terminal velocity of the state of New Jersey. I'm going to die here.
That's the
But
spirit.
yeah. So yeah, no. Well, and so my story is actually very similar in that like I played in bands. Starting about like 10 years ago, um, and I was playing guitar. I always sort of had an interest in electronic music for a long time. And then I got a synth and exactly like dead ass exactly what Terrence said. Like software did not have the same responsiveness. Making music in a box did not feel like making music how it felt to play music like on my guitar. Um, maybe I'm just not that clever, but I needed to do it with my hands. And so that's when I started like getting drum machines. I've been making music with tape for a long time and got that in the mix. And then just, it just started to feel really natural. And I always have liked doing the production. I definitely think of music as like, I'm not someone who wants to play guitar. There's musicians who want to play guitar, they want to play drums, they want to play saxophone. Like it's never been about that. It's about the piece of music, like what comes out at the end. And electronic music, being able to do that just with my hands, with the drum machine, and just kind of being in control of the whole thing. I guess it's also like part of how I meet whatever diagnostic like criteria I meet in the DSM. But like definitely like just having that full control over the whole process, but also like kind of giving up some control, improvising. It's been a big part of it, and so that's what we're gonna hear.
So you guys are both you have like sort of very similar backgrounds actually. Not everyone I have on the show is always like has a such a like the same story in some ways. But correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. You come from more of a musical background, or like that's where you focus in primarily. But you
Yeah,
also do like the occasional glitch visual art too, right?
yeah. And so my buddy Joe, who did the set with me, that we're gonna hear, we maybe 3 or 4 years ago figured out how to put video into Audacity and glitch it out, and we just kind of did that because we were making music and we wanted to upload it to YouTube. And Joe like found on like somewhere on the internet, I don't know, like just some basic instructions on how to import raw data to Audacity, and then it kind of went from there. And then likewise, I don't have any video synthesizers, but I like just like off chance picked up like this modded video processor from a guy I knew on Instagram who's now a good friend of mine. Um, and yeah, I just do it here and there. I did a music video for myself, and I'm hoping to do more of it, but it is something I definitely like. It requires more patience than I have, I think. So yeah, but I do love it. I think it's beautiful. I think the way it looks is so incredible. Um, Also, I don't know if this is an appropriate question to ask. Terrence, are you Jewish?
No.
Oh, okay. Damn, we were so close to being like
So
really the same person. I was about to be like, if you're like a disaffected art Jew like me, then we're like,
My grandfather did convert though.
no, okay, yeah. Well, hey, converts are welcome here. I got no problem with them. But yeah. So yeah, I guess my background's more musical, and my family, my dad was a musician. My great grandpa was a musician. A lot of music, so that's what I grew up with. It was like the default artistic endeavor.
So back to Terrence. So you're kind of on the other side of the spectrum where you are mostly into the like aesthetics and visuals of glitch art, but you also make music too, right?
Yeah. I started doing visuals as like my primary endeavor, like 2018. But before that, it was. I mean, I still make music, but it's. I think visuals have taken the forefront of my free time and stuff. But yeah. Before I got into visuals, actually, like a couple years before, I started getting into synths, and that kind of opened my door to like this current world that I'm in. But yeah, I don't know.
So in some ways, you guys already answered my other questions, which is how did you become an artist in the first place, and why you like glitch art and electronic music above other media. Like taking those questions again, can you elaborate more on um, maybe not exactly how you got started, but like how have your lives as artists and musicians been developing from where you first started to where you are now, and like what's changed since you first began? We'll go back to Terrence first.
I like it because it's you're doing something incorrectly, but it feels right at the same time, and there's a lot of like random like goodness. I don't know what else to say that comes from glitch art, like things that happen accidentally, um, that you didn't like intend to, that look beautiful. Uh, the biggest thing that's changed is I get to see a lot of free shows now because like working the show, I'll usually work the whole night, do e- every band for the night. So even if I don't get paid or whatever, I get to see a great show and meet people and have a good time.
Yeah, that sounds like a great deal.
It's a win-win for me.
So same sort of question back to David.
Yeah, well, so I like the same thing about, and I think electronic music and like glitch art are kind of two sides of the same coin. And having explored glitch art a decent bit on my own, obviously not to nearly the same extent, and it's definitely not part of like my usual repertoire that I collaborate with people on. But yeah, like I love working with when you work with synthesizers and drum machines. Likewise, like you do get these like beautiful happy accidents, just like your idea is getting mediated through this interface that might be, well, it's designed by someone else, but also it might be outdated. It might not work exactly how you think it works, how it's supposed to work. So you have to give up some control, which is really nice. I like that you can improvise really fluidly with it, whether it's the visual or the audio. Like you can start tweaking things and end up somewhere completely different. I guess the thing that's changed for me is that I've really taken up a lot more scoring work, like we were talking about before the stream, and that's been fun because like I get to meet video artists, or like sort of I'm working on like my first like film score right now for this like really sick, amazing little art house Super 8 film. And I like meeting those people. It's been really fun. I've got to be, because I do the scoring, I've got to be in some pretty cool shows in the last couple of years. So my music as scores for as part of video art or digital art has been shown in quite a few places in New York, in Berlin. I've done a lot of stuff with people in Berlin, so I've been involved in stuff that's been in shows in Berlin 3 or 4 times. One of them was screened at a film festival in Malta, which was sick. And then back in February, a piece of video art that I scored for a now good friend of mine, Ludmila Seversky, was part of an exhibit at the Centre Pompidou in Paris, and I actually got to go out to Paris for the reception, which was sick.
That is really cool.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I don't even quite, you know what I mean? Like, it's the sort of thing I can't think about it like that much. Like, I can't think of myself as like hot shit too much. Like, I have to be like, no, I'm just like the fucking Jersey guy. You know what I mean? Like, paying too much for gas, and like, and like the life of like talking, like working with these people, and mostly in Berlin and in New York. It's just like, I just like compartmentalize it. Like, I try not to let it like affect my perception of myself. Although
I mean, maybe like maybe for you're just some Jersey guy, and that's like you're the norm. But for someone in Malta or Berlin, you have a kind of like mystique. Like you might.
I think I did until they met me in Paris, and I was just like absolutely like blotto on Brava. You know what I mean? Until I was like, we're going to like until they met me, and they like got to like size me up. And they're like, like I think it worked when we were only talking online.
Well, I think that's kind of cool, is because you said before that you're never going to leave New Brunswick and you plan on dying in New Jersey, and yet
I don't want to.
but yet your art has already been to multiple places around the world, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm very, very grateful for every one of those opportunities. It's been sick.
So I'll keep sticking with Dave for now. But I want to ask you, what can you tell me about your work in particular? And like, if you had to say what made it unique or what allowed it to stand out amongst the crowd, like, what would you tell me?
So I would say like the thing that I always really wanted to retain, especially, and part of why I left working in the box with music, why I stopped composing music in a DAW, is improvisation. Especially in the world of electronic music where we have sequencers, we have, all of these things to like really make everything locked in, and where you can very easily structure music. I've tried to just like incorporate like looping tape and just recording myself performing as much as possible. And if there's one thing that makes it probably stands out a little bit, it's that. And it's certainly not an idea that I came to totally on my own. It's something that other people are totally onto as well, and probably doing cooler things than me with it. But yeah, for me, it's about retaining improvisation. It's about retaining the ability to make something off the top of my head, which I think is something that's coming back around with electronic art of all kinds, visual and audio. People are starting to remember how fun it is to like not have everything lined up perfect, ready to go, ready to drop in, but just like and you get the fuck ups and you get the unhappy accidents, the ones that you get those too. But like I think it's worth it. You think having the chance to have something go awry is the chance to find something great.
Well, even just before going live, we had some of our own unhappy accidents.
Yeah, just one or two. Nothing.
But yeah, like you said, that's sort of the fun of the process, and I think
Absolutely.
it helps to get rid of that perfectionism when
Yeah.
there's no possible way it's ever going to be exactly what you want.
Yeah, and it makes it less like work, which also we were saying like it's not work. It's like I don't want art to be work. Like and making it perfect and making it completely logical without flaw, ready to just be triggered, ready for that piece to sequence to trigger perfectly in time. It's like I don't need that. Like no danger, no excitement.
So, same question back to you, Terrence. Like, if when you think about your work and what you do, can you tell me any ways that you think it allows to stand out amongst a crowd? Like, what do you think is the most unique quality of your work?
I guess sort of reiterating David, the improvisational aspect. So I don't use software stuff. So yeah, again, it's all every show I do. It's all improv. There are certain effects that I know how to like get, but mostly it's just feeling out each band. I'll bring like a stack of VHS with me, and I'll try and match a film to a band and mix it. And I'll use a lot of like old silent films because you don't need the audio to tell what's going on. It's very physical. You can still kind of get what's happening in the movie.
Hmm.
And like, I feel like it's a cool, like my glitch stuff's very colorful. So juxtaposing that with like an old black and white film, I think kind of has like a neat result. But yeah, I guess it's like that every show I do, like no two shows are the same. They're similar because I'm doing them, but you know, always different result, I guess.
Yeah, I'm excited to see because I haven't even really listened to Dave's music, and I haven't really looked at your visuals yet. So I'm excited to see not just how you did it individually, but how they're going to end up matching together.
Yeah.
And we're going to move on to that in a minute. But before we go into the next segment, I guess I just want to ask you like one or two more questions, and that would be, what kind of work do you want to do in the future that you haven't done now? And what kind of projects are you working on at the moment? And Terrence.
Um, in the future, I would like to do more stuff with film. Um, even if it's just like little scenes here and there. I've done like music videos and visualizers, stuff like that. But I think incorporating some glitch into a film would be really neat. And I haven't really like the movie Mandy with Nick Cage had some pretty far out psychedelic stuff going on. So something like in that vein, I think would be cool.
You
And
know, you. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
I was just saying for the future, doing more shows. Yeah, that's it so far.
Well, I mean, those are not bad aspirations. And it's funny, you're not the first person to mention the movie Mandy on
Yeah.
this podcast. A couple of guests ago, some other musicians brought it up, and they're like, "Dude, you should definitely watch it if you're into this." So,
Yeah, Mandy it's a trip.
all right. Well, same question to you, Dave. What kind of things are you working on right now, and what do you want to work on in the future that you haven't done already?
Well, so I'll preface that by saying that I agree Mandy is sick. But yeah, well, so right now, like I said earlier, I'm working on my first like short film score, which is very exciting. And so I kind of have like these two musical lives of like my the scoring work, which is like way more ambient, um, and like just what I do for fun, and what we're gonna hear more today, which is the dance music. Yeah, so right now, I mean, I really just want to get this film score done. That's the main project. I'm hoping maybe like early next year I can go out to Berlin for an installation. Although we need, well, it's not Daddy Merkel anymore. It's the new guy, but we need a little bit of that, a little bit of that Bund funding, that Kunst funding, if you will. Yeah, but what I really like to do, the two things I'd really like to do, I would like to start releasing music on VHS. I'd like to start doing just music with video, with visuals, and just sort of have a whole product, something that is like, you need to have like a VCR, I guess, to watch it, but like tough shit, like it's good. So if you want to watch it, you have to do that. I'd like to do that. I would also really like to start organizing dance parties, but instead of DJs, finding everyone I can who makes dance music with drum machines, and not like boring IDM shit, but like actual like music you could dance to. And just try and like showcase like other people who are doing like improvisatory like electronic music stuff that they can dance to. But those are the two things I really like to do.
Well, I won't tell you or anyone else exactly what I'm planning for the future, but if that's what you want to do down the line, then we should definitely have another conversation.
I think we should.
All right, so before we move on to your actual audio and video, can you let people know where they can find you online? And starting with David, and then going back to Terrence again.
So I'm on Instagram at Super Dpressd, which is how my name is spelled here, which is somehow the electronic artist name that I got because I made it my Instagram handle as a joke like 4 years ago. There, Bandcamp, davidpressler.bandcamp.com. And then Joe, who I did the set with, we are together, Western Gift Economy, and you can find that at westerngift.bandcamp.com.
Awesome. Terrence?
I'm on Instagram at Slob Dylan. I'm on SoundCloud, Terrence Holleran, and working on getting on Spotify.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and quick question. How did you come up with your name?
I named my friend's boat the SS Slob Dylan. Then I needed like a name to do shows for, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, like Slob Dylan.
I like that both of your names were just so casual and nonchalant, like with barely any thought. Apparently,
I want to change mine. I have such regret over that.
No, you can't
dude,
change
that's
it
what
now.
everyone's saying. My girlfriend is like, you cannot change it. It's too good, and I'm just like, I'm not even, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even that depressed anymore. Like, but it was just like, I thought it was just like a clever thing on Instagram, and then like literally like after whatever some song I put out or something, like some like fucking kid in New Brunswick like was like, I was like walking down the street to the bar, and some kids were like, "Oh, you're super depressed," and I was like, "Fuck, god damn it!" Fuck.
You know what? It's even better that you're depressed about the name.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah, no,
like
I mean,
nice theme going on.
Yeah, well, the best poetry is lived, I guess. So.
Exactly. All right, you know what? Let's roll on into the next segment. So, Terrence, can you start playing your visuals, and David, I'm going to add your music to the stream, and we'll see if this works. Let's do it.
I'm certain of it.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, I can't.
And let's start that.
There we go. Yeah, we're starting at the top, ladies and germs. All right.
We'll keep playing it until it's over.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. You ready to come back on, guys?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, that was fucking sick.
Dude, that was sick. You kidding me? That video was fucking sick. Oh my god. Oh, I loved. You know, I always suck at getting that nice like diamond feedback. That like feedback. That was so beautiful. I loved it. I loved every
Thank
second
you.
of it. That's fucking sick.
Yeah,
Oh,
great job. You know, when I never know how it's gonna turn out when two people collaborate, but usually it's pretty good, and this was definitely one of them.
yeah.
Awesome.
I'm so glad that came together. That was so excellent. I used the tape. I don't know if you there was like I don't know, like somewhere in the middle of it there was like a little bit of like scratch dip in volume. And so when I heard that, I was like while we were streaming just now, I was like, what the fuck is that? So I opened up the tape machine and I like look at it and like I recorded that onto a tape that has like some like has like it's like I tried to like approximate where on the tape it was and I like I looked at the bottom and I was like, oh the tape is fucked up. Okay. I recorded anyway. Not that important, but
You know, and maybe it makes it better.
yeah, I like that. Good reframing. Yeah, I like that.
So I want to ask the big question about the theme of the show. But before that, I kind of want to ask you, like each of you, what was your inspiration for that particular song, Dave? And what was your inspiration for that particular set of visuals, Terrence? So we'll start with Terrence.
Uh, what inspired me about his music? You're saying?
Well, like what inspired you to create those visuals? Like
Oh,
where did that all come from?
uh, came from the soul. Um,
Good answer.
David's music got me in a really good mood, and behind the screen, I was dancing, I was popping, and
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was bobbing my head too.
it got me really in like a good groove. And I chose Lost Boys as the VHS to play to that
Hell yeah.
because there's a lot of good like motorcycle like chase scenes that kind of get your adrenaline going, similar to your music. So yeah, I thought it would work out.
Nice. And same question for you. You Dave, you recorded that with
With
Joe.
Joe, yeah. So a couple of those synths, those pads that you hear, those like chords that kind of ring out. That was my buddy Joe providing those, and then I did like sort of the mixing, the drums, and so a lot of the bass synths. Um, and so sort of the inspiration for me has been like old school techno guys, like Detroit '80s. And so the way that we did that, we had the synths going into the mixer. You can't really see it in the camera, but I have some like rack gear here, which is like stuff from like the '80s, '90s, how you used to process audio live when you're recording. So I have like this box does delay here. This is actually an Elisa's Quadriverb, same reverb unit that my buddy Valentine used to use actually. Um, but so, like just mixing his stuff, we're really into old techno, old acid house. I thought the videos fit that aesthetic perfectly, by the way. I was like, yes, like our like wonky, like techno acid house set, like that is the video that would go with it. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean, it was the idea was really just like, I just want something that's like, it's got the atmosphere, it's got the chance of the improvisation, having Joe, who's just an amazing musician generally, in improvising, he can peel off riffs and chords and stuff like kind of just off the top of his head. So kind of just taking what he's given me and finding ways to process it, sending it around the mixer, and kind of just making sure that we have some like groovy drums going on, so that it kind of moves forward. But yeah. The guys from Detroit, the techno guys, the old school dudes, those are my biggest inspiration.
Nice. All right. Well, awkward segue, but the inspiration for this show is, the idea of living in some sort of, uh, you know, simulated reality. And I guess I like having glitch artists and musicians on here because in a way you're like simulating your own reality. So the big question would be: are we also living in some kind of matrix? So I'll pin this back at Terrence because he said yes with an asterisk at the very beginning of the show. So I kind of want to know what's the asterisk?
Um, I'll say yes with the asterisk because uh like any form of society is like it's like a simulation in the sense that it's not like inherent. Like there's chaos, and then we have social contracts.
Hmm.
We societal contracts. So that's why I think it's more of like a biological matrix, if you will. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a half baked
Well,
idea.
it's like what are you saying? It's like social contracts, right? Like we kind of simulate a lot of the like the laws and the things that like
Yeah,
really govern and really influence us
yeah,
are
they're
themselves
arbitrary.
simulated. Yeah, yeah. They have nothing to do with like blood pumping through our body.
Yeah,
If I'm understanding you correctly.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
So like, I don't think we're in like a computer simulation, but American culture, society, it's it's like agreed upon illusion between citizens or
Yeah,
whatever. Kind of, I don't know.
yeah, I agree.
So
So
it's not necessarily a simulation in like a cosmological nature of reality sort of way, but just the constructs that we've created inside of the real world. That's
yeah,
the real simulation.
yeah, and I mean the more digital our world becomes, my answer might change, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with that for now.
Sorry, I just froze, so I don't know what. Can you repeat that again?
I was just saying, I'll stick with my answer for right now, but as technology, you know, increases exponentially, and it's I don't know, fucking
Until
grass.
we're truly living in the pod.
Yeah,
So in a way, there might be two simulations happening. There's the social constructs that we've created, and that's something that we're living inside of every day. But then inside of that, we have this expanding technological influence that is a whole separate form of reality inside of that larger social reality.
yeah, because like I don't know, like I feel like at this point, it's like we created technology to aid like us in our day to day active endeavors or whatever, but now I think it's getting to a point to where instead of like what's technology's place in man's world, it's kind of like what's man's role in technology's world or whatever.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Where do you think it's going to go?
Um, the hell, I don't know.
I agree. I agree 100%. Anyway, sorry.
No, let me hear more of your thoughts on that, David. So you to kind of go back to our original question. So when I asked you if we're living in the Matrix, you said no with an asterisk, sort of like with the opposite
Yeah,
of Terrence said.
yeah.
So what is that asterisk?
I guess my asterisk is that so there's this thing. My buddy Nishad actually pointed this out to me. This thing called like the fallacy of probability, which is like just because there's a chance, it feels to you like there's like a good chance of something, does not actually make it factual because something that is statistically possible or plausible has nothing to do with whether it actually exists. So, I think that's part of it for me. Like it's fair to say like yeah, we may be, and there is some amount of like hypothetical mathematical certainty for it. But I mean, I think also like the difference between like I think like it's no because like the difference between a simulated reality and a true reality is are kind of meaningless. You know what I mean? Like we are given only one reality. You know what I mean? Like and we exist within it. It goes back to like Descartes or whatever. You know what I mean? He's talking about how like all of reality could be a demon whispering in your ear. That's how he put it. Like there's so much that you're not certain about to be like true, but you're certain of your own consciousness. You exist like inarguably. You are in possession of a conscience, and there's things outside of that. So I think at a certain point, like I think the appeal of the idea of like a matrix, a system, for people in like popular imagination is because computers are becoming like we're starting to see being able to observe computers what these like large systems performing all these calculations simultaneously. We see the scope of that. We like can stand above it from the bird's eye view and see it. And it's easy to imagine that that's sort of our reality, when viewed from another angle. But I think, but I mean, like living in it, like there's no choice but to live in it, right? It's not like the Matrix, like the movie The Matrix, where you can unplug. Like
Right.
you are going to exist in reality. You're always going to have to contend with what's happening in the world. And like I'm saying that as someone who fucking wants to. I was dead ass looking at plots of land in rural Vermont online yesterday. Like I'm so fucking ready to drop out of society. You have no clue. Like I profoundly hate modernity, but you can't run from it. And yeah, I guess to me, like there's the difference between a simulated reality and a real reality. Like for the people living in it, there is no difference. And even if it is simulated, that means it's existing somewhere. You know what I mean? Like even if we're all just, a software being executed in the blip of in the 10 seconds somewhere else, that's too bad. We're never going to see it. We're never going to know. We have no clue. It doesn't even matter, It's possible. I certainly think it's possible, but I guess to me, like, I guess where I come from too also is like when people like try to reason it out with me, like I try to like assess that reason. People are like, oh, like don't you think it's like weird? Like we have all these physical laws that like line up, and isn't it so convenient that we like evolved to be thinking, cognizant, sentient beings with opposable thumbs who can go to the moon? And it's like, no, that's not that crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like that's not that crazy. That's completely possible.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like no, that sounds about as reasonable. Like you know what I mean? Like because like Terrence was saying, there is chaos. Like we do like we see order. We are adapted to see patterns, right? As a species, but we see patterns because we're surrounded by chaos. Like like if in the they always say like on the timeline of the universe we're like a fraction of a second. Like yeah, so really most of the universe is empty, gaseous shit. Yeah, like slamming into each other, forming particulates that eventually become bacteria or single cellular. Like it's pretty slim to none chance that we'd exist, but like considering like all the billions of years and all the infinity of space, like okay, I can believe that happened.
Yeah,
it's not that crazy. I don't know. I don't know if that even answered the question, to be honest with you.
Oh, it's a great
and before we started, I took my meds, and I haven't eaten lunch yet, so sometimes the Adderall gets like a little too. So if I start talking, that's if I start talking a lot, that's why. So
I mean, that's what we're here to do. We're here to hear you talk.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, it is a fascinating question to me. I think it's a cool question, but I think I'm much more interested generally. Sort of with what Terrence was talking about, though, like what are the boundaries that are socially imposed upon us? I think that's like I think that's where you actually get like the really crazy ideas. Like I think that's where when you start investigating like just how much of what we believe are the immutable structures of interaction of the universe, of like our ways of relating to objects and to people. Like when you realize how much of that is socially constructed over time across history, I think that's when you start getting into like the really scary shit, like the really weird ideas, and you realize how like far off the deep end you can totally go.
Yeah.
Well, something you said before was, what if we were in sort of simulated reality? Well, would it really matter? Because we're in it, we're embedded inside of it. And something that another guest said before that I thought was really funny a few weeks ago was, unless you're actually techno Jesus, like Neo in the Matrix, why would you want to know?
Yeah.
why would that help you?
Well, and like Neo, regardless of whether it's real or not, and I guess this is the Marxist in me talking, but like, man, like my life still sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's simulated. You know what I mean? Like, I still gotta pay my fucking bills. Like, I can still, you know what I mean? Like, I still gotta put gas in my tank. I still gotta work 9 to 5. Like, whoever invented this simulation was a real piece of shit, honestly. You know what I mean? Like, they could have just had us all fucking sitting on the lake fishing. So if this is a simulation, man, like whatever happens after I die, man, like I get to meet that maker, I'm gonna pop him right in the mouth.
I want to ask another question, Terrence. Let's say that we are not in like a cosmologically simulated reality, but the idea that all of our social interactions and constructs are sort of simulated in the way that you mentioned. What are the implications of that?
I don't know if I'm qualified to answer. I don't know. I guess.
Well, what's the alternative? If we're in this, everything that we're experiencing is just a simulation that we created together. Then what's outside of that?
I guess the other side of that coin would be like the chaos. It's like that's the other option. That's why when David was like, it like was saying someone told him, is it convenient that all these things line up? We have opposable thumbs. It's like no, because like the other side of that is fucking shit. Like so, like I'll take this over that any day.
Well, and if I don't want to like hop in too much, but like I feel like that is a great question, right? Like what's the like okay, like if both reality, whether it's talking about reality simulated itself, which sort of implies like a kind of like existential meaningless, right? Like like okay, well if everything is simulated, then all of these belief systems, whatever, are nonsense. You know what I mean? Like there's no like God as like a religion conceives of it, right? Like doesn't that kind of mean that there's like this void of meaning? And likewise with these like social agreements, like, well, if these are arbitrary, what's outside of it? I think a big, I think if there is like Jacquard's like demon whispering in your ear, to a certain extent, it is the idea that there's nothing outside of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think, especially when we talk about like socially agreed upon realities, like, we realize how much ideas that get carried across time really influence our conception of what is possible in the most basic sense. And like, and again, like, and I'm not going to go into this with anyone trying to convince anyone of like a particular like political set of ideas when I'm going to say this, but my hero is Karl Marx. I'm definitely a communist, and like, I think what that means to me, and I think philosophically, I'm just talking philosophically here, like, please, like, just indulge me, is just the idea that, like, what life is, the order of life, what it can be something outside of this horrendous, like, crushing economic juggernaut that, like, pushes us all to, like, work these shitty jobs, like, and likewise, I think, you can kind of take what Nietzsche is talking about, with his idea of like, the arbitrariness of like morality, of like the reality prescribed us by religions. He sort of took that and said, well, no, now you have to go create your own meaning. I think what's on the other side of receiving possibilities about what reality is constituted with, you're then given that awareness gives you the ability to create to create your own meaning, to create the next like set of options that people have, the next constructed reality, because reality is constructed like intentionally and unintentionally, so I think like I think what's outside of it is up to the imagination.
So for you, what would be that next option then? If this simulation we're living in right now is so bad, what would be the alternative? What's the next simulation?
To me, the alternative isn't necessarily like, I guess to me, the alternative is just like a reorganization of how we like just relate people to property ultimately, and how we relate to each other. Like just something where we like, you know what I mean? Just something where what drives us forward is not like is not like these sort of economic concerns about like constantly making sure year after year that like there's a global economy returning an investment, right? Like instead of like I mean, like, is the reason why we have these economic recessions, why we have this economic catastrophe, is is because year after year, there's this like, we have to get there has to be like a global return on investment, and it leads to crisis, and it leads to it just leads to everything bad, like, I think just more people deciding to create their own meaning. I think, like, you know what I mean? I think a reduction in the reliance on technology, a reduction in the reliance on generating like profit. I think those kind of hold society back in a lot of ways, and I think it makes it really easy to build. And I think just like understanding that like those are systems that exist not arbitrarily as part of that universe, as part of this matrix, right? Even if we do live in a simulated reality, there are still infinite options within it. You know what I mean? Like, we are given infinite options. Humans, we've been to the fucking moon. We've like cured diseases. There's really no limit to what people can do. It's just about, it's about having the means to realize alternatives. But like, yeah, I mean, we live in a world of plenty, right? Like, we throw out more food than we eat. We throw out more clothes than we eat. We build houses that people don't live in. Like, clearly there's plenty to go around. Like, you know what I mean? And like, dead ass, like, I just straight up, maybe I'm a lazy commie. I just want to chill, man. I just want to go to the park. I want to go on a hike, man. I just want to sit. I think everyone would be happier if we could all just like spend most of our day just doing fuck all. We really would. We would be so much happier. Life would be so much better. You could just sit around. I think that's great. I think that's the next step forward for humans, is really just doing less, is working less, is just like spending less time worried about or working towards bullshit, more time to just realize your own meaning in life. I think you can live that in like a practical way day to day. Like, you can create your own meaning on a day-to-day basis. We were talking about before we started streaming, like how like we've all kind of come to this point where it's like, no, like, I don't care about the path to artistic success. That's like the conventional thing. I want to live my life the way I want to live it. We all sort of, I think we're in agreement that like, I like working my day job and being an artist on the side. And not even on the side. I just want to live my passion as a passion. I want the shit I do to pay my bills is just the shit I do to pay my bills. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, an example of creating one's own meaning separate from the conventional wisdom, like, right. When you start getting into music or art, like, there's a system, an institution, a set of institutions and a logic to how you interact with them and, how you go about making it your career. But, I think it's easy in art and music because there's like no return on it to be like, you know what, I'm going outside of that. But I think like, I think that's just a good philosophical, like practical day-to-day philosophical approach to life. Like, you just step outside of like the expectations and like the things. It's like, well, of course I would want to go, I don't know, do whatever normies do, work at financial institutions or, I don't know, go to dog parks or craft breweries or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Like, just be like, no, I'm going to go over to the water purification plant and admire the view. Like, find your own way of seeing your own sort of thing. That's like, where the gods are, to quote my man Deleuze. Sorry, I can stop now. I'm done.
No, man, that's what.
Mute that mic, bro. And I'm going off the rails here.
I'm glad you took that Adderall before the stream.
Yeah, me too.
Anything? We're coming up around an hour and 10 minutes, which I think is a good time to start thinking about wrapping things up. But Terrence, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think David's his answer was very astute, and I like it. It was very insightful. Thank you for sharing that.
Just doing what I can.
All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, this was awesome. I would love for all of us to work together again. That was sick. Even despite all the technical difficulties, I had a total blast, and you guys are both really chill.
I had more fun because of the technical difficulties.
Yeah. Again, with the reframing, man, like killing it. Yeah, no, it was great. No, it was great. You guys are really great to work with. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, I completely agree. So we're gonna head out, but could you let everyone, the one person who's currently watching the stream, because we have one live viewer.
I wonder if it's Kylie.
Yeah.
There were 4 people before, so
Hell yeah.
We got more than one.
Just
But
keep doing numbers, boys.
For those 4 people who are no longer here, can you let everyone know where they can find you, starting with Terrence and ending with Dave?
112 North Jefferson Road, New Jersey. You can find me on Instagram at Slob Dylan. It's the red picture.
Dave?
Oh, that's my turn. Okay, yeah.
Where can people find you?
Yeah. At Super Dpressd, which is just how it's spelled. I think they can see my name box there. So yeah, at Super_Dpressd. Yeah, that will link you to my music, which is on Spotify and on Bandcamp. Prefer you go to Bandcamp, but I don't give a shit. Just give me your money. And if you hit me up, and yeah, I will say I am working on these like VHS tapes I was talking about earlier. If you hit me up and you send me your address, when I have my first batch of tapes, I will mail you one for free. All you have to supply is the VCR.
Yeah, that's the next thing. Yeah.
So So yeah, and then I'm sorry.
If you could mail me a VCR afterwards, that would be great because I don't know where I'm going to find one.
We'll see. Maybe that'll be my thank you present for having me on the podcast. Everyone who has me on their podcast gets a complimentary VCR.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was David Pressler, aka Super Dpressd. This was Terrence Holleran, aka Slob Dylan. My name is Doug Rizzio, and to close it off, I'll ask these questions again. Are we living in the Matrix? Is the universe just one big simulation? What if everything we thought we knew was nothing more than virtual reality? Ponder the answers to these questions and more next time on Glitch in the Matrix.